This is Kondi Stream. In the Bilonga neighborhood, Douala 3 subdivision, littoral region of Cameroon, heavily attacked by plastics and other waste.
Where we found ourselves now is Kondi. This Kondi is one of the principal drains in the town of Douala, and you can see the characteristics of the pond or of the drain with the famous issue of plastic pollution.
This dump site has been there ever since this bridge was badly constructed. This side of the bridge is totally blocked and all the garbage that comes in remains there.
The situation here is alarming. Actually, we are faced with a situation where there's a river here and the river course has been interrupted because there's a lot of waste that has accumulated at a certain point of the river. A lot of plastics, a lot of the waste is assorted category. This has hindered the flow of the water. Not only has it contaminated the river, and there are people who are resident around this river who use this water for various household purposes. I cannot overemphasize the health impact of such activities.
For visitors, the unpleasant stench produced by the waste makes breathing and living around the area challenging. Residents, on the other hand, find it quite normal.
Concerning the smell, it is not an issue because when rain falls, it carries it away. But when it doesn't rain, we have a serious problem of the stench. Students have to wear face masks to avoid the smell.
They are not even aware that that scent that is gotten there is even an issue because they see it as a normal thing that life goes on. So they don't know the severity of even the impacts of what they are taking in because they are suffering from air pollution in which they don't even understand what is air pollution. So they just take it as a normal phenomenon, like the CDC and their rubber factory. They have gotten used to that scent to the extent that the people in Tico, they usually call it their perfume. They get the scent, not that they don't get it, they get it, but they are familiar with it because they don't know the impact that it has on them. That's why they will say they don't get the scent. The scent will always be there. So us now that we are there and we notice the scent is because it was our first time. But when we stay there for 1 or 2 weeks, we also know that it's a normal thing.
During the rainy season, the inhabitants are faced with heavy floods.
Whenever there is a heavy rain, the water overflows its banks and completely floods the tarred road. The flood here hinders the movement of persons, and there is a problem of mosquitoes that causes diseases.
Yes, when the river course is interrupted, issues like flooding occurs. Like I said, in the heart of the rainy season, there's a lot of flooding. Right now, the water is like standing, stagnant water. It's not really flowing the way it is supposed to. And we all know that such conditions are favorable for the growth of certain kind of bacteria and other biomass that are not healthy for an urban environment like this.
That drainage, as it is full like that, the water that was supposed to be there in that area, if now the waste has covered that area until it has made the surface area to be small to accommodate the water, that is how the water now floats around the environment, and now which causes these little erosions and flash floods that you see carrying people around. Is because the area that was supposed to contain the water is now occupied with something else. So now the water has to look for a place because water is not stagnant due to movement, has to look for a place to go to, and that is when it starts carrying things around.
If only the stream could, it would cry out loud of a hostage situation.
The waste did not just find itself there. Those of people directly deposit the waste there. It also came through all those other processes that were washed due to serious rainfall. That is how we find the waste there. So it comes from the population. because normally Supermont did not just create plastics and went and pour there. No, after the consumption of what was inside the plastics, now maybe somebody can even throw it on the road. Maybe the dumpsters are around, somebody puts it inside. Since the plastic is light, maybe the dumpster can fall, maybe breeze, and when rain falls now, maybe the dumpster falls, the plastic falls in the gutter. When rain falls, you just wash it in now down to the river, and that is why we find quite a whole lot, because all those plastics did not come from one person's house. It is because of the population as a whole that have used the plastics, and now it is now useless to them, and they see it as waste, and they remove it from their environment now, that to keep their own immediate environment clean, while depositing it somewhere with the effect still comes back to them.
Why so recurrent on this site? It is because it is, as I said, a principal drain. It collects, it is a collector from most of the inaccessible quarters around this part of the town. And it leads directly into the creeks and definitely into Hori. We have been having difficulties with this drain because this is the principal source of plastic pollution within the Hori.
To environmental experts, this pollution extends beyond the river Wuri.
So this waste here doesn't just end up here. Our sources from the Delegation of Environment have made us to know that at the heart of the rainy season, around June, July, when the water increases, the level of the water increases in the river, this waste overflows on the banks because the water is pushing at it. It causes flooding in this area. The part of the waste is carried into the ocean, further polluting the ocean. So the problem of plastic pollution is really a problem in this area in Douala, and we need to look forward to other solutions.
Experts also believe these solutions could be adopted to ameliorate their situation.
I tell you that this drain was well cleaned in June 2022. It was like you're saying up there. And if you come here in the next 2 weeks, you will not see that water up there.
I will still talk in line with empowerment and awareness. First of all, if you don't know that something is a problem, you cannot even go to the extent of solving the problem. To create awareness and also to empower the people on proper waste management, because when they understand the impacts of what has been going on in that area, then they'll be empowered to keep the environment clean, even without waiting for all these cleanup campaigns that come up maybe at the end of the month or anything, because they already know how bad it is to their health and the environment. And also it will help to teach their children, because every child is a product of their immediate environment. What they see is what they copy. The way they are keeping the place dirty is what the child will also see the drainage as a dump site. But if they keep it clean, the child will always understand that I need to keep this place clean so that my parent should not shout or anything.
To some inhabitants, an expansion of the bridge over the stream could be a way out.
The solution to this is for authorities to reconstruct the bridge and make it wider, especially where there are those two poles at the middle, which constitute a barrier for free flow of water. They need to completely open the passage to a wider level.
No matter how you try to lift up the bridge or any solution you put in, they are the people in that environment. If you don't try to make them to understand how severe the impact is, you still come and meet the same problem every time. Lifting the bridges high is not a solution to the problem, because you are instead creating them more space to deposit their waste. The plastics are not first of all supposed to be in that area before you are lifting the bridge to say it is an area for the plastics to pass. Because when you lift the bridges high, you give them again more reason to say, okay, we should throw more there. So lifting the bridge up without them still having the awareness, you are still giving them more reason to throw. Like you are telling them that, okay, you are opening more landfill for them. But now if you leave it there and you come and advise them, you show them a new drainage picture. Like you can organize a workshop or a TV program. You bring two pictures forward. You show before how when this drainage was done, how clean it was. Then you show after that, see what you people have done. So if you show a typical example of somebody that is suffering from a disease that is caused by that pollution, by the time you start tracking everything and linking it, then they'll be aware and they'll be empowered they themselves to carry out their own cleanup to prevent the effect. But if you lift up the bridge, it's as if you have told them that, okay, the place is full, so let's help people again to open it, and they'll still be dumping.
According to recommendations made by Sustainable Development Goal 12.5, recycling would be a more sustainable solution to this problem.
We need to adapt other measures of treatment. And the most adapted measures of treatment is mostly by collection and recycling or reuse.
The Kondi stream is just one among the multitude of plastic infiltration of landfills and water bodies in most parts of Cameroon and the globe at large. Cognizant of the threat posed by non-biodegradable pollutants, especially plastics, the fight against this environmental trouble is a general concern and calls for collective action.